Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll call the commission meeting to order. First two items on the consent agenda is the secretary's report and the treasurer's report. If there are no adjustments to either one of those, I would ask for one motion to approve both.
So moved.
Al, second, this is Ann.
Motion been made and seconded.
And then we're gonna have to do a roll call vote, Wendy.
Okay, Daryl Sanis.
Aye.
Camille. Hepla.
Camille's here. Camille's here.
Ann.
Yes, aye.
Julie.
Aye.
Kimberly.
Aye.
Roger. Bergman. Roger.
Guys,
Your mic's on mute.
yeah. Roger, yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, Roger, but your mic is muted. You just need to vote yes or no or aye.
Do this.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Roger, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just hold up your hand. Roger Bergman. Okay, I don't think he can hear me.
All right, I'll move on.
All
Al.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Kirk.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Riley.
Aye.
Helen.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
George.
Yes.
And
Motion
Mayor-
carries.
Okay. Mayor Mike Elliott just joined us too.
Okay.
Next, first item under the action items is a presentation of the audit report. Mike?
Yes, I'm going to introduce Andy Berg from Abdo, Ike, and Myers. Andy has a presentation for us. This was the first time we actually did an audit entirely via Zoom. And actually, I must say that it went very smoothly. I think over the years, auditors have gotten into, have done a lot of things in terms of electronic audits. So this was probably an easy transition for them. And I just want to say that the whole process went smoothly with Abdo, Ike, and Myers. So take it away, Andy.
All right, thank you, Mike. I assume everyone can see my screen, so I'll go through a presentation that gives results of the audit and some summary financial information along with some trend information. I do agree with Mike that I believe the audit process went smoothly, being fully remote, so we do appreciate all the help from the commission staff too, so thank you very much. So the end result of our audit is to issue an opinion on your financial statements. We issued an unmodified opinion or clean opinion, so the best opinion you can get. As part of the audit, we do also gain an understanding of the entity's internal controls for planning purposes, not to issue an opinion on the effectiveness of those controls. If we were to see a deficiency or material weakness, those would show up as a findings. We're pleased to report no audit findings this year. As part of the audit, we also test and issue a report on Minnesota legal compliance. Again, a clean report there. So a completely clean audit. So good to report that. So jumping into the financial information. So if you do have this up on your screen too, starting on page 5, here we break down some of the information between the commission and Access. This is looking at just the commission, giving you a 5-year history of the ending fund balance, which is the blue line. So you can see that has increased each of the last 5 years, ending at about 5.9 million. We do compare that to your next year's budget. So your budget is a red line. You'll see that's been decreasing over the last few years. So the increase in fund balance and also the decrease in the budget has caused that percentage to increase. So you're at about 113% at the end of 2019 of your 2020 budget, which is up from about 102%. So if we look at the activity during the year, here we get both the commission and the Access. So the top is a commission giving you a budget to actual. Total revenues came in just under 5.2 million. You had about 5.7 million budgeted, so a variance of about 500,000, mainly due to the being under budget on the franchise fees. Expenditures, about actual about 687,000, very close to budget. And then you transfer out a significant amount into the Access Corp, which you had transferred just under 4.3 million, where the budget was 4.8 million. We see that same transfer coming in the second table there, which is the budget to actual, the Access Corporation. Again, mainly funded with that transfer coming in. You do have some revenue in there, about 53,000. Total expenses came under budget by about 375,000. So you had about 4.5 million of expenditures compared to a budget of about 4.8. The largest variance there was in program services, mainly related to payroll costs. So total change in that position of about 159,000, ending at a deficit about 2 million. That deficit is mainly related to pension accounting standards. You do participate in a multi-employer cost sharing pension plan, PARA. If that was not recognized if you didn't recognize your net pension liability, that ending net position would be positive. So now looking at 3-year trends of the total entity, here giving you a budget to actual of your revenues on the top graph, expenditures on the bottom graph. Overall fairly consistent. You can see in that top graph the decreasing trend of the revenues, mainly related to franchise fees, and we'll look at those specifically in one of the next graphs. Under budget and revenues, both the previous 2 years, 2018 and 2019. The second graph there, expenditures below budget for both 2018 and 2019, with a decrease in actual from 2017 to 2018, a little bit of an increase in 2019. If we look at the breakdown of the revenue over the last 2 years, fairly consistent breakdown. Your franchise fees right around that 75-76% of total revenue. Access fees around that 21%. The green is the other that did increase a little bit. You're at about 4% in 2019 compared to about 1.5% in 2018. And then the last graph I'll cover is looking at the franchise fees over the last 10 years. I think, as you know, this has been changing over the last few years. So here you can really see the trend from 2013 up to 2016. You saw an increase each of the years, and then from there it's been decreasing through the end of 2019, with the total of about 5.2 million. So that's your total revenue, and the main cause of that is the franchise fees, which is the blue line there, indicated as a percent of your total revenue. So with that, pleased to report a good audit, and would open it up for any questions or discussion.
Any questions for Andy?
Bill Blonigan. How does the 113% fund balance at the end of the year compare to other entities of similar nature that you audit or read about?
I think that that number is really dependent on your entity and your type of entity. For all your member cities, you'd say maybe look at that and see that might be high. I think for some of the smaller entities and the ones with like the cable commission doesn't have taxing authority or levy authority like a city, I would say that that's not uncommon to see a percent that high. I think the important part is to be able to analyze where you want that to be at and plan for the future to build an answer why you're carrying the fund balance.
And then of that 113%, do you recall, is a certain amount of it, or maybe Mike recalls, in capital reserves such that we really don't spend that or can't spend that for our everyday operations?
Yes, that is correct. This is an excellent question overall because the fund balance is really critical to our future now more than ever. And that's one of the reasons I think you saw that in some of those charts, we actually were underspending our budget because we knew as the subscriber numbers were going down, we took some drastic action and then said, okay, let's stop spending, whatever we have, let's try to be as conservative as possible in these expenses and hopefully build up the fund balance, because that's true. We do not have taxing authority. And a lot of that money that you just talked about, Bill, is tied to capital expenses, especially under that. We always had this magic number like that 2 million that really should never be touched. And it never has in our entire history. So that's part of that. And so, but there's a good portion of these funds that are all, kind of capital related, but certainly some of that is, additional for operating as well. But we think now more than ever, it's important to keep that fund balance high as we work on ways to supplement franchise fees and PEG fees in order to keep the operation sustainable for the long term.
So is there somewhere where there's information about what percentage is reserved for capital expenditures and what percentage of that 113% is reserved for other things like our normal operations?
Yeah, I think what we're going to need to do, because we have been building this up. In fact, I even have a note to at least have an initial meeting with the executive committee so we can make some determinations. In fact, I had a good conversation with Andy Berg about various fund balance strategies, and he sent me some really good information so we can specifically target where we want to be within those categories. So that's kind of our next, once we get through this whole budget process, that would be the next thing that we would work on. And I appreciate the fact that Andy sent me a lot of information because I knew this particular question was going to come up. And so I thought, you know what, let's set up some formal policies related to that versus kind of the old school thing that we've had many, many years ago of, hey, just don't touch that 2 million mark. And I think we need to be more formal in terms of these funds for the future.
Thanks for doing the work, the staff, and coming up with a clean opinion this year. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bill.
Any other questions for Andy?
I have a question. So my question is, the increase in other revenue, does that have to do with branching out and doing special projects like is called for in the long-term plan? I know you've done some special projects for us this year.
Yes, as a matter of fact, that is starting to happen. And so we are starting to see some additional revenue. And there's even a lot happening this year. And so we're excited. It's gonna, we're kind of taking things in baby steps, but yes, doing these special projects will definitely help us over time. And that's the big piece of the pie that we need to get, much larger over time. In fact, we're going to get into ad sales more next year. We're doing all kinds of experiments with helping out cities, helping out businesses, school districts on some for hire type situations. So yes, that is the key thing.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions for Andy? If not, entertain a motion to accept the audit report.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second, Ann.
And seconded. Wendy, you'll do a roll call again.
Okay, Mike Elliott,
Mike, you're muted.
Aye.
Daryl Stanis,
Aye.
Camille Hepela. Camille,
I just move on, Wendy.
Ann Norris.
Yes, aye.
Julie Jeschler,
Aye.
Kimberly Sandberg,
Aye.
Roger Bergman. I think he's still muted. Al Madsen,
Aye.
Bill Leith,
Aye.
Kirk McDonald,
Yes.
Mark Schultz,
Aye.
Riley Grams,
Aye.
Helen LaFave,
Aye.
Jim Willis,
Aye.
Bill Blonigan,
Aye.
George Selman.
Yes.
Camille
Okay.
Hepla, aye. I apologize. I can't find my mute button.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Camille.
Audit report has been accepted. Andy, thanks for your work on that. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great meeting.
Next item is the approval of the proposed credit card use policy. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, attached, we sent a credit card use policy. Our auditors are recommending to all their clients that they have a policy in place. There have been no issues with our credit cards whatsoever, but they just recommend to their clients to have a policy in place. And at this point, we have 2 credit cards through Wells Fargo. It's pretty much been that standard for many, many years. And so we just want we're just seeking approval of the commission. We're going to have the same thing too at the board because there's money that come out of both accounts. So we're going to seek approval at the board as well, which is basically the exact same language. But I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions anyone has regarding the proposed credit card use policy? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Approval. I'll move approval. Kirk McDonald.
Kirk,
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second, Julie.
Motion's been seconded. Wendy, do a roll call again?
Mike Elliott,
Aye.
Daryl Sanas,
Aye.
Daryl, you're muted.
Oh, I heard.
Aye.
Camille Hepla,
Aye.
Ann Norris,
Aye.
Julie Deschler,
Aye.
Kimberly Sandberg,
Aye.
Roger Bergman. Sorry, pause. Al Mattson,
Aye.
Bill Leaf,
Aye.
Kirk McDonald,
Aye.
Mark Schultz,
Aye.
Riley Grams,
Aye.
Helen LaFave,
Aye.
Jim Willis,
Aye.
Bill Blonigan,
Aye.
George Selman. George, you're muted.
Credit card policy has been adopted.
Yes.
Next item is the approval of proposed electronic funds transfer policy. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Chair, similar type situation that we do a lot of, obviously in this day and age, nearly all of our money gets moved in one form or another electronically. And there's just, and again, there's a policy here that just further defines, how we do electronic funds transfers. I did notice, let's see if we have, let's see here. Yes. Number 6, we're going to have to make one little change because basically it was basically boilerplate language regarding fund transfers, and item number 6 here, in fact, I'll just highlight it on the screen. I think most of you can see that. It says a list of transactions made by electronic funds transfer must be submitted to the city council. Really, that should say to the Northwest Suburbs Community Cable Commission and Northwest Community Television Board. So we're going to make a minor change to that. So whoever brings this up for a motion and then ultimate approval, if we could just make sure that it's said that we'll make that change in there related to changing the word city council to Northwest Suburbs Cable Commission and Northwest Community Television.
Any questions regarding this item? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the proposed electronic funds transfer.
Bill Blonigan moving approval with the change that Mike Johnson just indicated.
Is there a second?
Ann, second.
Okay, Wendy, do a roll call.
Mike Elliott,
Aye.
Daryl Sanas,
Aye.
Camille Hepla,
Aye.
Ann Norris,
Aye.
Julie Deschler,
Aye.
Kimberly Sandberg,
Aye.
Roger Bergman,
Yes.
Al Mattson,
Aye.
Phil Leaf,
Aye.
Kirk McDonald,
Yes.
Mark Schultz,
Sorry, yeah.
Riley Grahams, Helen LaFave,
Aye.
Jim Willis,
Aye.
Bill Blonigan,
Aye.
George Selman.
Yes.
Okay, electronic funds transfer policy has been approved. Presentation of the proposed 2021 budget. Mike?
Great, thank you. I gotta hit my share screen here a second. I just literally, it's one of those things you just had up and then there we go. All right, so yes, this is the 2021 budget packet that you would have all received both electronically and by mail. It pretty much follows the same formats we've had in the past, and these are the various things that are within it. I'm not going to go through every single document here because it, you know, a lot of you have had time, but I certainly will be able to answer all the questions that you have. But of course, we talk about the mission, vision, and our 10-year target goals, certainly compensation goals. Then what I want to spend a little time on is revenue and expense outlook and the subscriber count chart and revenue expense projections, the budget itself, both Northwest Community Television and the Cable Commission. And we basically do the main presentation in the Cable Commission. And of course, this also gets approved at the board level too, but the commission has to ultimately approve both budgets. And of course, at the end of the Northwest Community Television meeting, we will be going into a budget meeting. So there is a handful of people that will remain on this Zoom meeting to just go through the budget and answer, you know, or ask any other questions they may have. With that said, I'm going to just scroll down here a little bit and go into the cable subscriber revenue part here. You'll see this graph, and again, many of you have this printed and also electronic, and I'll show you in a second as well. Average number of cable subscribers, it shows from 2010 to 2020. Of course, 2010 was the peak year of 76,976 cable subscribers, and then did a slow downward trend from 2011 in a downward trend from 2011 to 2020. But now we're down to official 55,963 subscribers as of August. This is important because this number, you know, definitely reflects our actual our revenue. And here's the chart here that you can see. So you see the peak there at the 76,976, and then just kind of a slow loss of subscribers over the years. But then we knew, and that's one of the main reasons, like I think it was even in 2017, we said, you know what, we better take a good hard look through strategic planning and talk about long-term sustainability of the organization. And so, and that's what we did, and that was approved. We went through most of that process. We started at the end of actually 2018, spent a lot of 2019 going through it, and then that was approved. Actually, it was approved about a year ago now, and so we're deep into that. But so you see the average number of cable subscribers at 58,484, but the actual number, which is, let's see if I could even highlight that in blue down here. The actual number right now as we sit is 55,963. So some significant losses, and you see it's, you know, happening quicker. So, you know, no surprise, we knew this was going to happen, and a lot of it's, you know, due to cord cutting and those types of things. So that's the subscriber trend, and you'll see some, you know, compared to the auditor's report. Again, some of our information is a tiny bit different because it depends on how it's reported within the year and the money received. But you can see that kind of that peak in revenue. So even though what's interesting is we would lose subscribers, say from you know, just many subscribers over the years, but we really didn't necessarily lose revenue. But starting in 2018 really took the kind of the major downward trend in terms of that. So that's kind of that fuchsia colored line. And then the bottom line, of course, is the PEG fee that we get. We had a peak in 2014, in 2015 is when, shortly after in 2014, we actually had the franchise renewed, and then it'll actually be due up in 2024. And so we negotiated a higher PEG fee, a per subscriber fee of $1.36 per month. So that brought that number up then from the traditional amount that we got, which was under $1 million. But as you can see, as time goes on, because of subscriber loss, we're losing, more money on the PEG side. And that money right there really is dedicated towards capital. Any money that goes to the cities, we do these grants back to the cities. We do a lot of capital work on our, we have a building that the commission owns, all the equipment, all that money comes out of that yellow line. Again, that's a revenue line for what we call the PEG fee, the community TV fee, which was negotiated by our negotiating committee way back in 2014. So this is going to be hard to read on the screen, but all of you have it. We do these revenue projections every year and kind of basically show the franchise fees and PEG fees, and then putting in formulas like reducing it by 5% a year, and then showing other things in terms of trying to get increased revenue as well. So as an example, I believe member Kirk McDonald asked about other revenue. So like in 2020, I think I can highlight this line right here. So in 2020, this year, we're expecting about 70,000 in some extra revenue. We're really, things are just starting to percolate in terms of all the things we are going to be working on. And we're going to have an ad salesperson coming on board at the end of the year, beginning of next year, working on marketing and advertising. And there's a lot of room there. So we're estimating in 2021, again, this is simply estimates. I mean, it could be more than that, definitely could be less than that, but we're putting in some numbers here and some growth trends that we want to start bringing in more substantial revenue. But you also have to look at possibly cutting expenses, and that's a big thing that we did this year. I mean, we went from, we're basically looking at doing a significant, we're looking at in our budget. And thankfully, when we did the strategic plan, one of the things is to look at, what's the best way to staff the organization. So you will see on the salary line here that we're looking at overall a decrease of about 10% across the board for salary, and para and FICA are all tied into that, and same thing with health, dental, and life. So I'm not going to go through every single line item here, but certainly if you have questions. But we did some deep cuts across the board. You will see a lot of those negative numbers that you see over here are actual cuts, or in one case, we actually transferred some money out for our cities program and just moved that into the salary side, because we're just doing that accounting totally different now. But all in all, you see, like if you compare the 2020 budget at 4,500,000, like right here, that 4,511,000, and now down to 4,019,000. That's actually nearly, on the NWCT side, nearly an 11% decrease. And then of course we have capital budget and things like that. And the capital expenses are kind of the least of our worries, because that money is targeted and really, for the most part, has to go towards capital expenses because of how the franchise is set up. But it's the operating side in terms of personnel. And so that's why we recently did go through a reorganization. And so we do have some less, we don't have as many staff here, but it was a necessary thing to do in order to, bring our budget in line with the revenue. So that, and again, getting back to the whole fund balance aspect and the fact that we don't have taxing authority, that this will be the balancing act basically that we need to go through. And I want to thank the executive committee that worked with us on the process of some of the reorganization that we talked about in our strategic plan last year. they were very helpful in getting us through that process. With every budget line item, we have budget notes there. You see them all written down in detail. So again, I'm not going to go through every one of these, but you'll see the word decrease a lot more than anything that you'll see an increase. So this was probably, and it's not even probably, hands down, it was the hardest budget I've ever worked on in my entire career here. And I've been here since the day the doors open. But you know what, we got through this process, and you know, I think we'll be stronger because of it. Certainly, you know, we're going to have to always work on ways and kind of adjust the sails, so to speak, when the wind comes at all these different directions in terms of having long-term sustainability. So again, I won't read through all of these things here in terms of the various budget notes. You'll see various things with the capital, all the capital expenses here. Again, we get close to $1 million in capital expenses. So we've got some on the NWCT side that goes towards equipment for cities, so some of the cities things that we do in the Create Studio. There's a significant expenditure this year, but again, we're well in line with any of the expenses for capital expenses overall. And again, all the details are here. And again, I don't think we want to take everybody's time going through each one, but certainly if anybody has any question on any single one, we can definitely go through that. And then the other part of this is the Northwest Cable Commission budget here, which is really the smaller part of the budget. We're not looking at, you know, overall, we're looking at a decrease there as well. So you see, wherever you see those negative numbers, again, is a decrease in various things. So it was the process itself. This is a good view right here. If you look at both the, I'm going to highlight that in blue. If you look at both the NWCT budget compared 2020 to 2021 and the Cable Commission budget, you will see then the combined total difference, you know, an overall savings of $492,038, or a negative 10.55% of the overall budget. So, and again, we have some budget notes here related to the Cable Commission, and of course our capital improvement budget items here, which really anything related to the building really goes under the commission itself, because the commission owns the building. And the good news in all of this is the fact that this building is paid for and has been paid for, thankfully, to the strong commission that we have here, who insisted during this goes way back, but I know there's a handful of members who are actually on this meeting right now who were part of the negotiations with Hauser Communications before they sold the system to pay off the rest of this building. And I think that's a huge thing for this organization, not having any like building payments, lease payments, or anything like that. And also it's an asset that the commission has, you know, for the long term. But when you own a building, you also have to keep it up. And so those are some things that are listed here. You know, we've got some concrete crumbling, you know, in certain areas, and parking lot repairs and HVA systems. The dumpster shed is more than a shed. It's like an enclosed building. Our whole dumpster area is just, because of age, is kind of crumbling down, and we have we're having to store some of our garbage inside our regular part of the building. So what we want to do is just get all of this out, all of our recycling, into kind of an enclosed building with like a little garage door, and keep all of our recycling in there and off and out of the set storage room, which is not really a good place to have it. So all in all, that is, I will stop the share here for a second and answer any questions that that anyone has.
Any questions for Mike?
Well, I have a question. So there was a 10% cut across the board. How was staff brought along with that decision, and how are folks feeling about that?
Well, the downsizing aspect of it, yeah, there's a good portion of that is with staff, and so some difficult decisions had to be made. But we looked at, because of the strategic planning process, staff and management team was involved in looking at, okay, what's the best way to do as much as we can with, maybe we don't need as many people. And I will be honest, you've got to, in this COVID world too, we've learned how to do certain things in a different way. And the other part of it, Mayor Elliott, is the fact that we've learned that our operations itself has changed not because of just COVID, but because of how people consume content. So our main goal now with content delivery is simply just produce it and get it out there, not necessarily put it into a formalized big time studio production news presentation. Those days are just have changed in terms of how we're doing things, because we're getting most of our engagement is coming off of these individual clips that we send out to all of you and the world. And those clips and those views are going, those numbers just keep going through the roof. So although it's always difficult when you have to make a decision to do some downsizing, we did it in a very fair way. And this is where the executive committee came in, and we just wanted to make sure that whatever we do, we really take care of our employees. And all in all, I will say that that process went smoothly. So, is there any other questions?
I have a question. This is Camille. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Thank you for all your work on this. And I know that was a really tough decision that had to be made this year. So thank you for that. I wanted to ask about the community TV fee, which you mentioned was negotiated back in 2014. I kind of have two questions. One is, are there any plans to have that renegotiated next year, or would it be something that you look at the 10-year mark? And then two, the grant money that's given to the cities, is that potentially going to be impacted in 2021, or are you not seeing that really changing much?
Excellent questions, Camille. The answer to the first question in terms of the PEG fee, well, right now, our audit, our franchise goes through 2024, so just a couple of years away. So it will be up for total renegotiation then. I don't know if, and certainly when Mike will be doing a presentation, our attorney, Mike Bradley, or although Mike, maybe you can chime in now. I don't know if have there been any centers that have renegotiated a franchised fee with just a couple years left before full renewal?
It would be very unusual, Mike and commissioners. Usually it's done at the time of franchise renewal, which as Mike said, that window opens 3 years before expiration. So it'll actually open, I think, next year sometime.
And that is the amount that actually we're doing, quite well on overall. In terms of the cities, there's a slight, because the way the formula is set up for the cities, it's not overly complicated, but to give you the Reader's Digest version, about 75% of what goes to the cities is in the form of what we call a variable grant, depending on the number of subscribers. So the city of Plymouth, for instance, or Maple Grove, which and Brooklyn Park are larger cities. So they're going to get more in terms of an overall grant amount because it's based on subscriber numbers. Though as subscriber numbers go down, certainly that will go down, but not as drastic as it may seem, because there's some flat grant money built into that. And so, yeah, it may go down by, hundreds or maybe 1,000 here and there, but it's not a drastic change. And I think if anything, the capital is in pretty good shape.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mike regarding the proposed 2021 budget?
So Bill Blonigan, getting back to Mayor Elliott's question, you could have expanded upon what benefits you gave to the staff as you used the humane treatment of laying people off that he was kind of asking about.
Yes, and this is why we actually, you know, or multiple reasons we met with the committee, but we wanted to make sure that they were taken care of from two perspectives. One is that there was some severance. Was basically they received 40 hours so like a week for every year of employment. And one of the things we worked hard on too was making sure that we had some outplacement services for these employees. And we've already been in touch with some of them who are, I mean, some of them are already like on the verge of, you know, either getting or interviewing for jobs or applying for jobs that are out there. So, so we did take care of them from that perspective. And I will say that all of them were very grateful for what we did in terms of making sure that they're not just leaving. And we're also one other critical part of that is we're carrying their health care through the end of this year as well. So again, thank you to the executive committee and the staff that worked on this process.
Mike, thank you for your efforts on it. It's a tough thing to do, to have to lay people off, but you handle it extremely well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, it's not easy. We've had to lay people off for cause over the years, but never as like a layoff because of
Right.
You know, revenue. And again, so thank you and the committee, and also Mike Bradley, our attorney, who was involved and gave us some recommendations and forms to deal with when going through these processes. So, you know, it went about as good as it could. And so now we will be better financially because of it.
Any other questions?
I do have another question, Mr. Chair. So you mentioned, and there's probably a more appropriate time to speak more about this more at length, but you mentioned that there's a change that you're seeing in how content you produce is consumed, and even how the content gets produced. I think it's fair to say that with the assets that we currently have, you know, the physical assets and the equipment and the facilities, as the ways in which people consume content and the ways in which the content is produced changes. Well, do you see a forecast? Do you see a future where that there's some thought that needs to be put in how the assets change?
Absolutely. In fact, even in this year's capital budget, staff sat down and really went through this, looking at it more from a perspective of what kinds of things could we put into this budget that will help, whether it's like podcasting and things like that. I mean, I'm starting to get into podcasting more. I'm just like, wow, this is really, I can now drive in my car and listen to a podcast. And so
I thought you meant that you were going to start to produce a podcast because you have the voice for it. But
oh, okay. So, no, I'm not going to produce one. But anyway, but all these little things that we're changing, and we're also another part of it. So there's the actual regular production that we do, but we're also gearing up, quite frankly, to do some more services for hire. We're outfitting an old van that we used to do microwave. You'll see in the budget, it says microwave truck. Well, we're no longer using microwave transmission. It's all done over bonded cellular networks. But we're using that truck that we bought many years ago and equipping it with kind of a scaled down version of our big van to go out and be nimble and cover multiple events at one time. Because we are seeing we're like a good example. I mean, we covered 2 major events for the Anoka Hennepin School District within the last several weeks. I know Dave will mention that in his report. That's a huge deal to be working with an agency like the largest school district, you know, in the state, and doing programs that their entire staff tunes into like simultaneously and things like that. So we're very excited in terms of the capital going towards both being able to make revenue, being able to adjust to the new ways of doing things. And so it's really kind of an exciting future. And we love the fact that we're making an impact with these every day. And, you know, many years ago, we were probably going, well, why are you getting away from some of these other things? And I'm so glad we took the direction that we did, because we're seeing so much more engagement because of it.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other questions regarding the 2021 proposed budget? If not, I'd like to have a motion to refer it to the executive committee and the budget committee.
I'll move that. This is Mike Elliott.
I'll
Motion's
second.
been made. Is there a second?
Second, Kirk McDonald.
Wendy, would you do a roll call?
Mike Elliott,
Aye.
Daryl Sanas,
In 800 feet, turn right into the parking lot.
Camille,
Aye.
Ann Norris,
Aye.
Julie Deschler,
Aye.
Kimberly Sandberg,
Aye.
Roger Bergman, Al Mattson,
Aye.
Bill Leaf,
Aye.
Kirk McDonald,
Aye.
Mark Schultz,
Aye.
Riley Grahams,
Aye.
Helen LaFave,
Aye.
Jim Willis,
Aye.
Bill Blonigan,
Aye.
George Thelman.
Yes.
Thank you. The proposed 2021 budget has been referred to the executive committee and the budget committee. Next item, Mr. Bradley, information items.
All right. Well, good morning, Mr. Chair and members. I know what you're thinking. We are finally at the legal portion of the meeting. So here we are. I have two items to visit with you about. The first is on the appeal of the franchise fee order from the FCC. That is a proceeding that this commission is participating in, along with many other municipal organizations throughout the country. It's pending before the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. We're in the briefing stage right now. So since our last meeting, we submitted our appellate brief. Intervener supporting our brief also submitted briefs. That was filed. That was followed by the FCC submitting a brief in opposition to our brief, and then there's an intervener brief from the NCTA. So it's a brief supporting the FCC from the NCTA. The NCTA is a cable company organization. Now we are at the stage where we can file a reply brief to those opposition briefs, and that is due on September 24th. So we're in the process of writing that, and we'll be submitting that on the 24th. We expect oral argument to be had either very late this year or early next year, with a decision probably coming sometime second quarter of 2021. That's our best guess right now. Secondly, we are continuing to move forward on the franchise fee review that was conducted by Ashpond Schuylkill. Remember that this commission participated with 4 other cable commissions on a franchise fee review. Really throughout the summer, we've been visiting with Comcast about a possible resolution of our differences between their viewpoint and Ashpond Schuylkill's viewpoint. Since I wrote the memo to the commission, there have been some developments. We did submit a new proposal. That proposal has been responded to already by Comcast, and I expect to have some kind of rapid movement now moving forward to see if we can get everything resolved. If that's the case, then we'll bring it forward to the probably the next cable commission meeting for your review and consideration. If we're not able to get everything worked out, then it'll be time to have a compliance type of a hearing related to the franchise fee review. But all that will be at a future meeting, and the discussions I think so far have been very productive and respectful, and we're pleased with the direction they're going in at the moment. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Mike? Bill?
So what are the ramifications of a change in administration for the first case that you were talking about, which appears to be a 3-2 vote of the FCC, which just goes by political party lines?
It does. If there's a change in administration, the FCC's commissioners will change. And so there'll be a majority from whichever party wins the election. It's a good question. It's a question that a lot of people have been asking. It's a difficult question though, when we look historically, even at this particular proceeding. This is the third report and order from the FCC that we're appealing, which means there were 2 others that preceded it. So there was a first report and order, a second report and order. Those go all the way back to the Bush administration, believe it or not. So they go back to 2006. And those decisions, there was, on the second report and order, there was a request for reconsideration. And the request for reconsideration went in, I believe, during the Obama administration, and it stayed pending during the Obama administration for almost his entire administration. It was pending for about 7 years. And when the FCC did take a look at it, they basically went along with the order that was in the Bush administration. That subsequently was appealed. And then the Sixth Circuit in that case reversed the FCC and remanded it back to the FCC for more action. Unfortunately, the more action was the result of the third report and order during the Trump administration. And obviously, this particular report and order goes much, much further than either the first or second order went. So it's very negative. But like you pointed out, it was a 3-2 decision. And if you read the dissents were very favorable. I think the dissenting commissioners really understood that this FCC had really gone too far. Whether that, if there's a change in administration, whether or not the FCC will reverse the current order, I don't know. It would be nice if they did, if there was a change, but there's no guarantee in that when you look back historically. It's a tough question. I don't like to, I stick around because I'm a neutral guy. So I don't like to say vote one way or the other, but those are kind of the facts surrounding that particular order.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Bradley? Mike, thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
Thank you, commissioners.
Communications, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, just a quick, I'll quickly go these things. In fact, we're just talking about the FCC. Chairman Pai is looking at changing some rules related to in addition to some of the things that were just talked about. One of the key things is they want to change this rule that says that cable operators have to give us a 30-day notice about any channel changes and things like that. I actually have it within this packet. There's actually an example of a memorandum we received just recently from local Comcast Government Affairs talking about various channel changes or service changes. So you can see, I mean, they're basically saying that it's a lot of these things change so rapidly at the national level with various telecom or telecommunications providers in terms of who make content that it's almost impossible, according to Chairman Pai, for the local cable companies to give a 30-day notice because sometimes things happen so rapidly. So that could be a thing that happens. This is all coming to their September 30th meeting. They will be talking about implementing 5G faster. They're going to propose that they free up some more bandwidth, part of the 4.9 gig bandwidth in order to do 5G. And basically that bandwidth is used for military purposes and things. And so from radar, I guess for radar purposes, because the way the spectrum is all set up through how much spectrum is out there, they're saying they don't need this type of radar anymore. So that radar, which sits in a certain broadcast spectrum, would then be freed up for 5G purposes. The other thing is, here's an example of a memo that I received. Basically, it comes from Carly Werner talking about various changes that are going to happen at the end of October with various channels like Stars and some other services. And you can see I received this memo on Wednesday, August 19th. So they're trying to give, you know, that notice of all the things. So this is basically what the FCC would like to, you know, eliminate in that process. And then this is just a memo that I think I sent out to everybody, but I put it in the packet again as well, of some of the things that Comcast is doing to support the Twin Cities area, you know, and the nation. I mean, they're putting out $100 million multi-year program for social justice and equality, and obviously that things will trickle down at the local level here in the Twin Cities, and you can see where some of the money has gone there. I don't know at what point if some of it ends up in the northwest suburbs, but this is a multi-year plan, and again, I won't go through all the details there. And then you can see cable ratings. I thought you'd all be interested in just seeing, like, typically, you know, there's various networks out there, and what they, you know, and how they're doing on cable overall, whether it's Fox, TNT, CNN, or sports playoffs and those types of things during this time of COVID. So finally, there's an article here that Shannon Slatton, our news director, sent to me, because I did not see it originally in the paper, but this is interesting. Here's a group of Eden Prairie residents. They're going to launch a nonprofit news website because their local newspaper is kind of going out of business, or did go out of business, and they feel like a lot of others feel that you're going to get into a news desert here, and so they're taking it upon themselves to launch a nonprofit group similar to what is it? There's a Minnesota group that does, and I should know, they're one of my apps that offers local news. It's a nonprofit group, former Star Trib and other reporters who are part of that. MinPost. Yep. So this is, maybe they're looking at something of that, you know, nature to you know, focus on Eden Prairie news from kind of a grassroots perspective, because guess what? Eden Prairie doesn't have anything close to what we're offering. I mean, they did have a pretty robust cable system in the early days, but they just never got into doing news or anything like that. So now, you know, with the advent of the newspapers going out of business in their town, somebody's going to take it upon themselves. And so that's why I think we're in a very good position, and we've been doing this for many years, of offering local news and filling that void, because even the weekly newspapers that are still operating here, you know, those have changed dramatically over the years, dramatically, in terms of staff to go out and cover things. In fact, we have one of the largest, our news team is more robust than the newspapers combined in terms of reporting and things like that. So people do come to us. And one of the things we noticed is part of this, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but we're noticing how many people are also watching some of our content that is simply written versus a full-scale video story, because people want to see, people want news, whether it's seeing a video story or just reading a video story. So we're doing a combination with the advent of COVID. We've related to that, is that there is a desire, a hunger for content, but getting it out there as quickly as possible, and whether it's video or just print. So that pretty much concludes the communications aspect of the Cable Commission agenda.
Any questions for Mike? If not, just a reminder that the executive committee and the budget committee members, after we finish all the business this morning, should stay on Zoom, and we'll conduct our meeting after all this is taken care of. So anything else to come before the commission?
I do have a question, Mr. Chair. Since the unrest that we have seen since George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis police and other recent police shootings and killings, there has been a recognition in our community that systemic racism is well, systematic through our country. And we here in Minnesota are not immune. We have some of the top 5 largest, in some cases we're number 1, some cases we're number 2, largest disparities, racial disparities. Right here in Minnesota, where you know, all the children are above average, except for the Black ones or Latino ones. Well, Mr. Chair, my comments are very pointed, but they need to be. Part of systemic racism has to do with the narratives that are created about certain groups of people. It has to do with what stories get told, whose stories get told, and from what perspective. In that regard, the media plays a central role or a significant role, I should say, in perpetuating stereotypes and creating narratives that feed into the cycle of systemic racism. You probably know where I'm going with this, Mike, and all the commissioners. We here around in this meeting represent, I believe, the largest or the most diverse populations in the state. I think it's behooves us to, or it is important for us to thoughtfully engage this question of what role we play. And again, none of our systems, none of our organizations are immune. What role we play in creating current conditions, whether it's even unintentionally. So I bring this up to say that I think we need an intentional process where we take on this issue head on as a body and start to put together tangible ways in which identify and put together some tangible ways in which we can make a difference here in our part of Minnesota. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Johnson, you want to comment?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Elliott. One of the things that, actually not more than one, and I probably have Shannon and Dave chime in too. We were actually probably one of the first, organizations to, shortly after the George Floyd case there, in fact, we invited Mayor Elliott and Brooklyn Park in for conversations. In fact, we've done multiple ones, and we've got an effort to, do whatever we can to, continue these discussions and dialogues and in terms of all the things that, Shannon could cite. In fact, I'm going to turn it over to Shannon here to say all the things just from a news perspective that they've done in terms of, we've obviously done a lot of stories about COVID-19 and things like that, but we've also done a lot of stories related to, racial injustice and those types of things. And Shannon, would you like to say a few words related to that in terms of what you're working on with your staff?
Sure, and I think we're just at the beginning of this process, but right after all the events happened surrounding the George Floyd death, we came together as a news team just to talk about what can we do to tell the stories better in our community and in different individual neighborhoods and communities that we might not be connected to. What do we need to do? How can we move forward and move the needle on our coverage? Because we truly want to appeal to everyone. We want to tell those stories that we don't know about. And so this is just now a discussion starting out and seeing how we can drill down in the communities. We are active in social media. We know a lot of folks in those communities get their news from social media. And so I think that's one way that we are able to engage and reach out and tell those stories. We have one reporter who speaks Hmong. We have been able to utilize her in different ways to get out in the community and tell stories where previously, like, we didn't have a translator. So it's just letting us be able to explore and kind of dive into that area and what we need to do to tell better stories, because ultimately we're interested in telling the stories of everybody. So I think the conversation and the discussion is just beginning, but is definitely a discussion that has been ongoing. Anything else, Mike, that you think I should add to that?
I don't know. Dave, did you want to add anything with
I'd like to add something.
Oh, go ahead.
Hello.
Jim?
Yeah, I agree with what the mayor, I think, is trying to tell us. And I think that is that we as a committee need to ensure that our position and work up a position that is informative to the public of what our intent is and what action we propose to take to help address this problem. We're not going to solve it, but we can be part of a solution, at least with respect to the area that we serve. And I think the mayor's giving us a challenge that we ought to accept as a board and a commission. And secondly, I think that, as Mike and Shannon are just telling us, they're already working on it, but it's got to be purposeful. And I don't have the framework of mind how to do it, frankly, but I think that using in-house resources here and people we know in our respective communities, we can make some progress. And I really encourage us to take a stand and keep it on our agenda so it is something we as a board talk about.
I certainly support Jim's comments and the mayor's comments. Mike?
And let me add, if I may, thank you, Jim, and thank you, Alan. Let me just also point out, if you do a gallery view of our meeting here, you're going to see that if my alarm didn't go off this morning, we wouldn't have anybody here who wasn't white, unless I'm misstating or not seeing someone's identity that isn't white. So I guess my point there is I'm just very grateful for your comment that, yeah, we need to take this challenge on, but we probably need some kind of process that maybe brings some other people into some kind of ad hoc committee that can help us work out is that we want as a committee, or what kind of stance we want to. So thank you. Let me just add, there are a couple of other organizations which I'm a part of that have formed committees that are actively working out their position on this issue and looking at how they're going to, from a board level, engage in this work and partner with other organizations as well that are doing this work to help amplify amplify basically the efforts that are underway here in Minnesota. So thank you. I'll rest at this point.
Mike?
Yeah, I think it'd be great to get a group together, and Mayor Elliott, I'll reach out to you and we can maybe have a discussion and to move forward in this venture, because we have been talking with amongst the staff and looking at ways to how we reach out more into the community, whether it's doing some of the things we've already done or what are we missing? We need to get out there further, basically at the grassroots level, and kind of try to find stories and things that we could help get out to everybody and figure out ways to improve how we handle issues such as this. So thank you.
Anything else to come before the commission? If not, ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Wendy, you want to do roll call?
Mike Elliott,
Aye.
Daryl Sanas,
Aye.
Camille Hepula,
Aye.
Ann Norris, Julie Deschler,
Aye.
Kimberly Sandberg,
Aye.
Roger Bergman, Al Mattson,
Aye.
Phil Leaf,
Aye.
Kirk McDonald,
Aye.
Mark Schultz,
Aye.
Riley Grams,
Aye.
Helen LaFave,
Aye.
Jim Willis,
Aye.
Bill Blonigan,
Aye.
George Selman. I think George left.
Commission is adjourned.
Just a minute.
Okay, so we're ready to start the Northwest Community Television Board of Directors meeting. I'll point out that we do have 2 at-large positions that are open that are looking for applicants to fill. Are we ready, Mike?
Yes.
So the first thing we have on our agenda are the consent items, the approval of the minutes, and the treasurer's report. Is there a motion to approve those?
Move approval. Second. Joni.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, do we have to roll call this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Wendy?
Camille Hepula,
Aye.
Ann Norris,
Aye.
Cheryl Wilder,
Aye.
Al Mattson. I think Al left. Kirk McDonald,
Aye.
Riley Grams,
Aye.
Helen LaFave,
Aye.
Marcia Glick,
Aye.
Joni Clausen,
Aye.
Daryl Sanas,
Aye.
Charlie Brose. I think Charlie left. And Mary LaHaye.
Aye.
Okay. Next we have an action item, approval of the proposed amendments to the CCX Media Create Rules and Procedures.
Yes, Madam Chair, just quickly, we are proposing a few. We brought the rules to the board last, it may have been either about a year ago, and we just noticed we had to make a few changes to minimize any ambiguity in those rules. They're really related to membership, which can be found on page 2, and some minor changes related to studio facilities on page 6, and a minor change on page 9. And so those rules are all highlighted. All the changes you can see are in red here. We did meet with the Policies and Activities Committee, and they unanimously approved these changes. So we're just seeking approval of these proposed rule changes.
Okay, is there anything anyone has questions about or wants to discuss? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve McDonald.
Joni second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Wendy, will you do the roll call?
Camille Hippola,
Aye.
Ann Norris,
Aye.
Cheryl Weiler,
Aye.
Al Mattson,
Aye.
Kirk McDonald,
Aye.
Riley Grams,
Aye.
Helen LaFave,
Aye.
Marcia Glick,
Aye.
Joni Clausen,
Aye.
Gerald Sanas,
Aye.
and Mary LaHaye.
Aye.
Okay, that carries. The next is a familiar credit card policy that we just heard about a few moments ago. Mike, anything else to add?
Nothing to add. It's exactly as the policy that was approved in the commission.
Okay.
So this is
Uh,
Ann. I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Wendy, please do the, or if is there any other discussion? And then Wendy, can you do the roll call?
Yep, Camille,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
Riley,
Aye.
Helen,
Aye.
Marcia,
Aye.
Joni,
Aye.
Daryl,
Aye.
Mary. Aye.
Okay, that carries. The next thing is another familial policy with the same familiar problem with the reference to city council instead of the correct entities. So Mike, do you have a recommendation on that motion?
Yeah, just to approve with that language change to change it from city council to Northwest Suburbs Cable Commission and Northwest Community Television.
I move
Okay.
with the change.
Joni second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Wendy, would you do the roll call?
Camille,
Aye.
Al, Ann,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
Riley,
Aye.
Helen,
Aye.
Marcia,
Aye.
Joni,
Aye.
Daryl,
Aye.
Mary. Aye.
Okay, thank you. That passes. And then we have some committee vacancies. Mike?
Yes, Madam Chair, a couple of committee vacancies. One is the NWCT Executive Committee, one vacancy. You can see a very minimal time commitment. We have another vacancy on the Policies and Activities Committee. That committee has a little bit more of a commitment. Typically, we've met 2 times for sure over the past couple of years within a year. As an example, the 3 policies changes that were presented within this meeting today were all reviewed by the Policies and Activities Committee. And then finally, the Budget Committee, which is very minimal time commitment there too, which basically meets after our meeting in September to talk about the budget and put any input to the budget at that point. So we're just seeking, I don't know if anybody wants to, volunteer at this point or think about it and then, send me an email. But if there's anybody who knows they would like to serve on any of these committees right now, if you want to let us know, we can certainly write that down. And if not, you can send me an emails. Is there any interest?
Okay, so perhaps people that are interested should just give you an email or a call, let you know.
Sure.
Mike,
And
is
there's no-
this,
Go ahead.
sorry, Mike, is this something that can be emailed out to the different volunteers? Maybe
Well,
somebody that's,
Yeah,
you want-
that's a great question, Mary. I think right now, I believe these have to be part of the actual board itself in terms of these
Okay.
openings. We
Okay.
definitely have some positions opening on the board that we're going to get that word out and have an election coming up as well. But no, what I will do is I will resend this memo out to just this specific memo because it's a fairly large packet, and just send it out to the committee members and then give you a little time to think about it. How's that sound?
Okay, so this has to be somebody that's already on the board.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So our next item is a resolution to accept donations.
Yes, Madam Chair, we're very excited about this, and we received a money from the Brooklyn Park Rotary Foundation of $1,000. We're going to be doing some type of matching donation campaign later on this fall or early winter, and so we're very excited about that. I want to thank Dave Kaiser for working with the Rotary on that. He did a presentation and they were more than happy to fund us. So as part of these resolutions, and we have to make a formal resolution of all these funds that come in. And in addition, we received some money ever since we put up our little donation button. So things have kind of been happening, and that's helping. And that's really with no promotion. So we're kind of excited to try some things down the road. We've got, you see the other donations, and also from our member Mary LaHaye, thank you for your donation, and again we'll be recognizing all these people through formal letter as well. And so here's the resolution, and we just need to have that resolution passed in order to officially accept these donations.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to accept the donation. McDonald.
Nora seconds.
Okay, we've got moved and seconded. Any discussion? One thing that I would say, Mike, is if there's a social media thing that you could put together that we could share with the community, letting them know about opportunity to donate, that might be something that we could all share through our social media networks.
Excellent
to get
idea.
the word out.
Yes, yeah, because this is. Well, we're gonna look at many different things, including like there's a big campaign called Giving Tuesday. We want to be part of that in the future. I believe that's in December, I think December 1st this year. So anything we can do to, there's strength in numbers and getting those words out there. So we'll definitely make a note of that in terms of getting this out to other people who can get it through social media. So thank you.
Yeah, and as excuse my ignorance of the morning moment. Are we also a nonprofit that could be part of the Give to the Max Day listings?
Yes, yeah, we are an official nonprofit 501c3, so yes, we can, and that's where I can see a lot of potential there.
Yep, and that's coming up in November.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Camille?
Sorry, aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Kirk?
Aye.
Riley?
Aye.
Helen?
Aye.
Marcia?
Aye.
Joni?
Aye.
Daryl?
Aye.
Mary? Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. The next thing we have is the presentation of the budget, and we did have a long presentation at the previous meeting. Is there anything else you're adding on this, Mike?
No, it's basically the entire budget, both sides, both Northwest Community Television and the Cable Commission were presented. So unless there's any other questions, we will then, after this meeting concludes shortly, we'll go into the budget session and see if there's any other further questions. But I'm here to answer anything with the rest of the board members who are here presently.
Okay, anyone looking for a presentation or additional information? Otherwise, looking for a motion to refer this to the Executive Committee and Budget Committee.
So moved.
So move.
I'll second then.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Wendy, roll call.
Camille?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Kirk?
Aye.
Riley?
Aye.
Helen?
Aye.
Marcia,
Aye.
Joni,
Aye.
Daryl,
Aye.
Mary. Aye.
All right, so now we get to the staff reports.
Yes, and we're going to make this really quick. I'm going to give each staff member about a minute apiece. Maybe we'll start with Dave, if you want to chime in. We've got a written report here, but Dave, if you can give us a Reader's Digest version on your report, and then we'll move on to Javi, Shannon, and Tim real quick.
Good. Mine is at the bottom of the page, Mike, if you scroll down. And again, it's in your packet as well, information about the fall sports kickoff. It's this unusual season, so limited fall sports coverage, but the Hall of Fame program started as always, and we had 4 great athletes from the area that were recognized in the Hall of Fame. Connection program, as you see there, continues to work on with important topics from cities. One is a future look at downtown Bridger, a piece that was just put together, so you might be interested in looking at that. Also, not directly related to the connection, but we're also working with Brooklyn Center Fire Department in a virtual way to help their fire department do training for students. We're going to do a recording at their fire station that then will be given on thumb drives to all the teachers to be able to give out and give the information to the students. So another way we're helping out virtually. The launch of CCX Studios, again, as mentioned a couple times during the budget process, finding ways to diversify our funding. The small box on the right is our small business advertising assistance program, something that we just put together where we are offering packages at a great discount for up to 75 local small businesses. So you can go to the ccxstudios.com website to find out more. And finally, future sustainability. We're doing more creative service work. That is a picture of one of the early events we did this year with the Anoka Hennepin School District. And finally, I'll just note, if you want to tune in tonight at 6 p.m., we are debuting the Golden Valley History Project through Facebook and also through our channel. So you're welcome to watch.
Okay, we'll turn it over to, thank you, Dave. We'll turn it over to Shannon real quick.
All right, 2 quick things to tell you about in the news department. Right on the top of the page right now, it is all about election time for us. As most of you know, we offer candidates in our area the opportunity to come in and record a 45-second candidate statement. We have 123 candidates this year that range from city council to U.S. Senate candidates to school board candidates. So we're trying to move those folks through. Based on the number we have done, almost 50, and the number of candidates that we're corresponding with, I think that we're going to have about 71% participation. So I'm very happy with that. Some people decline outright. Some folks have suspended their campaign, but I think it's a good service. And so we are plugging through those. And then the second project going on right now is school coverage. Obviously, it's a year like none other for our schools, and it's the first time, I mean, we are literally not allowed in the building because we're visitors. So we're working with our school districts collaboratively and creatively to try to figure out how to tell school stories, our school spotlights, and our standout students. They want us there. It's just figuring out how can we do it in a socially distant way. So those are the 2 big things that we're working on, besides, of course, churning out the news every day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Tim Gaffron. Are you there, Tim? Tim Gaffron.
Oh, sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. I guess I didn't. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
I like your screen.
Thank you. It's me on TV. You have the report in front of you, and I won't read it to you. The things I will add are, we did start with candidate forums last week. We had a virtual one via Plymouth City Council chambers last week. And that was one of the first virtual candidate forums that we've conducted, and that was interesting, and learned some things for our next one. But it went pretty well. Starting next week, we have 3 forums events scheduled next week, and then each week after that for the next several weeks. So want to thank various leagues of women voters that have been coordinating these, along with the Twin West Chamber, for various parts of our area. And without them, we wouldn't be able to coordinate or conduct these. And so we're basically relying on them, and they do all the work, and we just record it and put it on TV. So, and on our website, if you go to the homepage, In the middle of the homepage is a banner, Local Vote 2020. There are links there, and under each city, there will be a link to the candidates forms for on-demand viewing. The only other thing I'll mention is we did receive bids for the Plymouth City Council Chambers AV upgrade. They came in where we expected them to be, and that will be proceeding through to City Council, I believe, at their next meeting for approval, and that work is scheduled early December through early January, and look forward to that project. And that's all I have for right now, unless there are questions.
Thank you.
Final one with Create with Javier Cedillo, who is our Create manager.
Hello, good morning, and I'll just start off with saying that we are back, and we're we're back, and since June 30th, and before we were back, we had to create a procedure trying to make sure that we're going to be safe, and there were safety protocols around the studio. Mike really went all out with helping us out with making sure that we're going to be safe and stay safe. And if you come in the building, you see glass panels, you see hand sanitizers pretty much everywhere. And we're trying to make sure that every time somebody comes in or out the studio, we clean up right after them. Just trying to make sure that everything is sanitized and kind of wiped out or wiped up. And we're trying to use the facility as much as possible. People are getting back into the routine, so people are starting to call in, come in more often, which is awesome. It's beautiful. I love it, and a lot of podcasters are starting to come in as well. They're using the space to create their own podcast, which I definitely love, and I love seeing people get more creative. And the candidate forums, of course, Tim and Dave are in charge of that, but we enjoy the other ways of the studio being used throughout the day. So,
Thank you, Javi.
Okay, that concludes the staff reports.
Yes.
Is there any other business that the board would like to bring up? Hearing none, then a motion to adjourn, and after that, we would be, those of us that are in the next meeting would just stay on.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Moved and seconded. Wendy, roll call.
Camille,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
Riley,
Aye.
Helen,
Aye.
Marcia,
Aye.
Joni,
Aye.
Daryl,
Aye.
Mary.
All right. Thank you very much. See you all in November.
Have a good day.
Goodbye.
Good day, everyone.
Day.